Welcome back, everyone. Good morning. How we doing? Happy Friday. Happy CPI day. Welcome, 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 welcome. Doing good, doing good. Another nice day yesterday. Can't complain. Got a few things to talk about today. I'm sure you guys probably saw that on socials. An interesting event occurred yesterday, which means I will not be trading today, unfortunately. But I will be testing today, which I'll speak more about with the group later on. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. So technically, yeah, I will be trading today. Technically. Just not in the same place. Good morning, guys. Welcome back. Yep. Yeah, so I guess I can just get into it real quick. Just sort of explain. I'm going to make a video about it, but... So, yesterday, I was sitting on the couch, enjoying my night, and I got this email. I'll show you. So, sitting on the couch, minding my own business, and yesterday, I get this email. Dear client, based upon a recent compliance review of your activity in your account, we are closing your IBKR brokerage account. Now remember, this is after 5 years of trading with this broker. Likely multiple six figures of commissions, and I've gotten zero communication before this email occurs. And the reason for this, which, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, sort of, is I put $100,000 into this account, this Interactive Brokers account, as you can see right here. I'll show you everything, man. So here's my Interactive Brokers transaction history. I put $100,000 in this account on January 12th. Now, this $100,000 in the account, this is from a bank account that I have never connected to Interactive Brokers, right? So it's sort of like a brand new account to their systems, which probably, maybe raised a yellow flag, right? Then I took my January profits out, which I've, already posted about, which was also to a different account that has never been connected to Interactive Brokers either. Now, the reason for this is because I've moved all of my money, as I've talked to some of you guys about, with my private bank. So it's sort of new accounts that I have set up this year. So these are both different accounts that Interactive Brokers has never seen before. So a deposit and a withdrawal to new accounts that they never seen before, which likely raised some type of a red flag, right, in their system, which is basically probably done by AI, right? Some kind of AI, it just sort of flagged it, and they're like, oh, well, hold on, what is this, right? And so because of that, after 5 years, just because of that, right? No, like, hey, what's going on here? Give me a call. Like, what's the deal with these accounts? We've never seen these before. Where's all this money coming from? Nothing like that. No conversation. Just simply because of that, they've closed my accounts. Gone. Closed. And so this morning and yesterday, you can see I've taken every single dollar out of this account. Every single dollar is gone. So I put $100,000 in. I pulled out $132,000. So as I've shown you guys, right? If I go to my statements, if I go here, and I go to realized summary, and I go to year to date, there's my profits, right? $32,500. So up $32,500 this year, all through very good trading, normal trading. And because of where the deposits and withdrawals went, they've closed my account. And that's that. I mean, that's the whole thing. There's nothing else to it. That's just, it's the most ridiculous sort of just end of a tenure of 5 years on Interactive Brokers just because of that. I have no words. So now I am stuck. Now, I didn't lose my money. Thank God. I mean, yeah, I mean, if they locked me from withdrawing my money, then we'd have a very big problem. But no, I mean, all the money's out. It's all withdrawn. It's all headed to my bank account as we speak. So I walk away up $32,500 on this account, and it looks like that'll be the end. And so that's that. Yeah, that's that. So I'll make a little video about this. I'll let you guys know what the game plan is from this point forward. But unfortunately today, I'm pretty shit out of luck in terms of, you know, having capital somewhere to be able to trade. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to, you know, leave them as well. And I hope that they do. Oh, trust me, I called them last night. He said that their compliance, that I can't talk to their compliance team. That was his message. He said, I can't connect you to compliance. You have to create a ticket. That's the only way to get in contact with them. I said, okay, well, I'm happy to take all the money out of the account. So that's that. That's what I dealt with yesterday. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. So yeah. Oh well. On to the next. So today, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. CPI Friday. Who knows? Maybe it's good that I can't. Maybe it's good that I just lock up those gains and walk away and have a little reset day. After what happened, you know, I probably would have been a little bit emotional today as well. So I think it's possibly a blessing in disguise. Everything in life is a blessing in disguise. There's always a silver lining to everything, right? So to bigger and better things, and a nice day off here in terms of trading on CPI. But I'll still show up and help you guys the best I can. But yeah, I mean, if they would have just reached out to me and said, hey, what's going on? I could have very easily provided them with all bank accounts and all the information they need. But instead, they just sort of probably just relying on some kind of an AI system that just says we're closing your accounts, which is, hey, that's a bad thing for them. I mean, they're probably closing a lot of accounts that for really no reason, and pissing off a lot of people. So that's pretty bad. They'll probably reach out to me, yeah, but I'm not giving them a second chance, man. That's ridiculous. That's not going to deal with something like that. That's out of principle. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead. Yeah, if you guys want to send me your login info today, I'll feel free. I'll trade on your account. No, I'm kidding. That's not happening. And also, please never, never, ever reply to anyone that's DMing you under my username, please. There is a lot of scammers out there, so please be careful of who you talk to online. If you're DMing someone right now and you think it's me, I can guarantee you it's not me, okay? I mean, for you guys that are, on Interactive Brokers, I will say it is a good platform in terms of trading. It's really nothing against their platform. It's really more about their customer service and how they deal with a problem like that. That's a little concerning. But in terms of the platform, I haven't had a problem for the last 5 years. So this is the first time. And I wouldn't think that it's not like they're a scam. It's not like it's a scam broker or anything like that. It's just a unfortunate AI detection glitch that they have a very poor process of how to solve that problem. It's a very poor process. It's a very, very lackluster way to deal with problems like that, right? It's just it's a broad brush, just cancel all accounts if there's any kind of red flag, right? We don't even want to hear anything about it. Just cancel it. That's just not the way to run a business. So, All right, but besides that, let's get enough of the drama. Let's go ahead and lock in and get started for today. So today we have CPI data, as you guys know, 8:30 in about 20 minutes. We do have the CPI data, which should be interesting for the markets, as you guys can see right here, 8:30 CPI. And then again, market is closed on Monday, so just know we have a 3-day weekend heading into next week. Very nice day off here on Monday. And I don't believe, I'm just gonna take the Band-Aid off for you guys. I'm not gonna be here on Tuesday. Okay, Tuesday I won't be here. I will be going to the International Home Builders, the IHB, I believe it's called, in Orlando, Florida. If you guys are going to that, feel free to hit me up. It's a really cool sort of convention for home builders. I got invited to it by my builder, really, really nice builders, and they said, we'll get you a ticket if you want to come with us. Some really cool products, new, innovations and ways to build and stuff like that, stuff for the house. So that's really exciting. I'm very excited for that. It's basically like a home builder's paradise. So going to that on Tuesday. I'm actually flying from Naples to Orlando. Can you believe that? Flying from RSW to MCO. It's a 50-minute flight because I refuse to drive to Orlando. I refuse to drive there and back to Orlando in the same day. That's just crazy. So, yeah, Tuesday won't be here, but we will be back for Wednesday and back to it. And hopefully by Wednesday I'll have all my brokerage stuff set up and ready to go. So that's good. So that's that. What did we get on the earnings side? Anything on the earnings side? Let's see here. Earnings whisper. Yeah, the flying I think was a good decision, right? $300 round trip. $300 round trip to not drive 7 hours. I mean, that's worth it to me. Yeah, plus miles on the Tesla. I think it's worth it. 300 round trip. I don't know. Would you guys do it? I think it's worth it. From me, Orlando's about 3.5 hours. There and back about 7. It's not fun. Friday, today, earnings, AAP this morning. Yesterday, Coinbase, Pinterest. How'd these go? I actually want to see how these did. Coinbase, slightly higher on earnings. Pinterest, oofa. Is Pinterest done? I actually like Pinterest, though, to be quite honest. But in terms of creating shareholder value, I really don't know how it does. It's just a great app to look at house stuff, really. Like the home ideas are great on Pinterest. But yeah, Pinterest down to 14. I mean, this thing's been dead for years. Like, this is what I'm talking about when I, talk to you guys about dead money. And, like, sometimes a dip buy is just not worth the dip buy. Like, if you said, hey, I'm going to dip buy Pinterest back in 2022, you would be down or flat for the last 4 years, right? Like, this is just not something worth buying, right? So Pinterest, just sort of a no interest stock. Toast, slightly lower, basically flat. U.S. to add Alibaba to list of firms aiding China military. Baba's down $8 this morning. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Ouchie. Okay. So a little bit of Baba news right there. Okay. No bueno there. Would I want to be short Baba today? Let's see what happens at this weekly high. This weekly high right here. Let's actually put an alert there. Why not? Let's put an alert at this weekly high and this weekly low. 148. It's actually going to hit there, I think. Let's see if it starts breaking that. That could be interesting. Okay. Let's get into the levels. So we finally get the lower high rejection. Pretty much sort of an anticipated lower high rejection. And really what more than anything, the S&P 500, that zone that we were talking about, it finally happened. It finally happened right here, right? We finally got that, sort of straight up, straight down action. And this is yet again another example of what we speak to on this live stream quite often, and it's that if you go straight up, you need to always be worried about the potential the back half of the move, right? Every time you go straight up on the market, there's always a back half. And this was straight up. And this is now straight back down, right? And so we just have to be very conscious of that when the markets make these moves. And it's another example here again today. It just the market continues to remind us exactly what we continue to try to talk about, right? It's if you're going to move higher, you need to move higher in clean retracement moves, right? You go up, you retrace, you go up, you make a higher low. This is a healthy stock market movement, right? This is not healthy, right? Because this leaves this as a potential straight down move. So you can see that's pretty much exactly what we did. We went vertically higher without pullbacks, and now we are just going to fill that all in. So a pretty common and explainable move, right? Here's another example. See this right here? See this straight up? Look what it did. Straight back down. This is healthy, right? So it sort of goes down, retraces, more down, retraces, more down. Like that's a nice structured move. Straight up, straight down. Straight down, straight up, straight down. Like these areas where you go vertical in each direction, you always have to be sort of targeting those spots. So yesterday was really nice under the 69.20 spot. We talked about under 69.20 into the 68.70, which was really the original target of the day. That was a very aggressive downside move. You can see after we broke 69.20 yesterday, we basically just free dove, straight down right here, just straight down to the 68.70 spot. From that point, we did go lower, but we basically stayed sideways the entire afternoon from that point. So if this is a good example of once you hit a target and the market's just so sort of flatline, the trade's over, right? This is something we talked about again, actually. We talked about this on the live stream yesterday or possibly the day prior. We talked about how there's only like one or two moves a day, right? You either go, you're going to go straight down, make a lower high and have a second leg. You're going to go straight down and do nothing, right? Or you're just going to do nothing all day. And so here's an example of straight down and then nothing. So if you didn't catch that first move, then trying to stick around the rest of the day yesterday was so counterproductive. I mean, if you didn't catch a trade from open to around 11:30 yesterday, right? Look what you had to deal with. Nothing. Right? So another example of how, and why I walk away from the markets around noon, right? Noon is like the latest I'll trade. Majority of the time, you are going to see the rest of the day just sort of fizzle out into nothing. Now, there are certain days where you see that nice late day action, which of course is an outlier, but it does happen. But a day like yesterday is another reminder of, hey, if you are sitting at your charts at 11:30, 12 o'clock, and you haven't found anything, right? You're just sitting there and you're like, man, it's 12 o'clock. I missed the entire move. What is the answer there, right? The answer there is not, let me keep trying to find something. The answer there is, okay, tomorrow's a new day. Let's just wait and see what happens, right? Let me find the next move. Let me not keep trying to do something all day because I have to find a trade today. I have to find an opportunity today. It's something that I have to do. The answer, that right there, that mindset is what crushes most people. So I continue to live and die by that mindset. If I don't find the trade by 11:30, 12 o'clock, I am not sitting around the rest of the day trying to find something because this is what typically occurs. Now, it doesn't always occur, right? But that's what typically occurs. And so we can see another example of that yesterday. So today, let's see if we can find an early move, right? Let's see if we can find that move. Unfortunately, today CPI will definitely, maybe not unfortunately, but today you are definitely at the mercy of what this CPI move wants to do. So let's go ahead and dive into the Nasdaq futures and let's just start our normal analysis here on the NQ. So today on the NQ, you can see on the 4-hour chart, we are trading back into some major spots here, right? Major previous highs, major previous lows, major wick low, major area here. Anywhere between, I would say, this 24,420 and this 24,567. Anywhere in there, I'm going to assume is going to be a little bit of a battle zone and definitely a spot that I would have a little bit less interest in shorting into today. I'm a little bit cautious of shorting into that low. You can see right here, if we go to the 30-minute chart, previously in this area, we did find some pretty decent demand. from the previous drop last week. All right, you can see right here last week, we did find some decent holds in that area. All right, so I'm a little bit cautious right here, and that is also into the daily 200 SMA right here. See that? And so I am just not a huge fan of shorting into this drop, right, into the 200 SMA. It's not interesting to me. What is interesting to me today? What's interesting to me today is maybe a CPI pop that gets faded. That would be the short entry. That would be a beautiful short opportunity in my opinion today. If you can get a pop and fade on CPI, that's lovely. So I'm watching these 4-hour lows here, and I'm watching these 4-hour lows right here. That's 24,900 to 25,025. If we can get a pop on CPI back into those 4-hour lows right here and right here, and then see a fade start to occur, that is the trade that I would be looking for. This is where I'd like to be short. I don't want to be short chasing shorts into the 200 SMA at these lows. That is not interesting to me. Now, CPI may just dive bomb this thing straight through this level. If that's the case, then it's going to get a little bit more difficult. But I would hope that we can get some kind of a pop and fade back towards that 24.9, back towards that 25,025, maybe back towards those Wednesdays lows, back towards these Mondays lows. Give me something like this, and then let me find that new fade entry back into the supply level above. That would be fantastic. If the Nasdaq futures does reclaim this zone and it does start to hold above this zone, then guess what? You are right back within the channel that we have been stuck within for the last week, right? The entire week we've been stuck in this channel. And if we do reclaim back above some of these Mondays and Wednesdays lows, then we're going to just place ourselves right back into that channel. So let's see what occurs here on the Nasdaq futures. Let's go to the ES. S&P 500. So here's another example. You are coming into some major lows here on the S&P 500. On the S&P 500 futures, you have January lows at 68.14, and you have this very clear 6,800 psych level, which was a major hold here from back last week, right, where you sort of went straight up off of. This is also a very clear major low here on the hourly chart, back at 68.14. That's your January low right there. So I'm not a fan of just shorting into this 6,800, 68.14 level. What I would love to see today, I would love to see a pop and fade right into this low, and this 68.70 spot. This is a nice look. Give me a little pop into 68.70, and then let me see if this creates a lower high. At this low, at this low, at this rejection right here. I think that's great. Now, where I actually think, where would be the best trade, now I don't know if you're going to get this today, but I think this would be the best trade possible, the best short possible, is right here. This is a sexy short right here. Because you have technically not retested this yet, right? You sort of dropped straight through it. See how you failed sort of straight through that 69.30, 69.20 low? If you can see this, and then this, all right, that is your beautiful lower high rejection. So you have a high here, and you'd have a lower high right here. That would be great. Something like this, right? Pop into the daily 20, daily 50, fades at the daily 20, daily 50, fades at these previous lows, bam, rejections, back to the lows, right? That would be incredible. So that is something I would make sure you keep on your watch, right? That's sort of just a spot to be tracking in the future here. I'm not sure you're going to see this large of an upside move today, but if you do, then that could be a great sort of retest rejection spot. I would definitely be paying attention to that possibility. On the intraday yesterday, we had a very clean psychological rejection, and you can see that is right at the 6,900 spot. So look at this 6,900 spot on the ES yesterday. Look how perfect those intraday rejections came in, right at that psychological level. So that is also a level I have on my charts today. So there's a few spots. I have major demand here that I'm not interested in shorting into. My first pop and fade area would be right here, right? Little pop, little fade, possibly a scalp short. You have the daily 100 above. That's something to watch as well. 6,900, that's a spot. Now, if you do reclaim these lows today and you do something like this, I probably would get less interested in the short, right? Because then I'd be shorting back into the previous day lows, which would be a little bit tough. If you do reclaim the 68.70 spot, then really for me, it would be up here that I'd get interested. Okay? SPY. You can see the SPY is at its daily 100 SMA and also at some major 4-hour pivots, right? I mean, just big spots here, guys, on the SPY. You can see right here on the 4-hour chart, major lows, major lows, major lows, major lows, and here we are again at the daily 100 SMA. So you can see right here, we're sort of holding that daily 100 SMA as we speak, and I'm just not intrigued by shorting into a daily 100 and also a very nice 680 demand level on the SPY. If we can get a pop off this on CPI, I would be looking to see if this 686 level is a fade level today. Right here, 686, that's a nice spot on the SPY that rejected yesterday. And higher than that, I would love the 690 fade. Both spots look fantastic for lower high rejections. You have previous lows. You have previous lows. You have the daily 20 sitting right at 690, 689. If you can get a nice pop into that level and create a lower high, I think that is a fantastic spot to look for the lower high fade. Right, here's a high, here's a lower high. This would be a fantastic lower high fade at the 690 spot. I like that a lot. That would be much more mature than just waking up and slamming puts into demand lows, okay? If we can get that little bam and bam. So that's something I'm going to look for either there or 686. Both spots right here would be sort of the lower high fades that I would look for today. If we move lower and break the 100 SMA today, you are going to be trading into a January low, which is also what it is. It's a 2026 low, right? So that's the low of the year. That's the yearly lows. So that is here at 676. I got to assume there's going to be some defense there. So I would be very careful of just chasing SPX puts into that level. You can see defenses did come up here last week, and I would be careful of that defense being put up again. Right? I don't want to be short into the low of the year without any kind of risk reward. It's just not interesting. Below that, 674 is a massive 4-hour pivot, and here is your December low. So you are coming into some major levels down here. We again have to see what CPI has to say. But it's mindless to me, and it's very easy to just say, hey, I'm just going to wait for a higher low to form, right? Or sorry, a lower high to form. I'm just going to look for a lower high to reject, right? That's it. That's all I need to do. I'm not going to get sweaty into these short lows, right? I'm going to wait for a pop, and I'm going to look to see if I start to spot failure somewhere. Easy as that. 686, 690. That's the right way to approach a day like today. That is always 100% the right way. And when I say right way, that doesn't mean it's the way that happens, right? Right way and what happens are different. Okay, you have to understand that. Like, what I mean by that is, hey, the market could go straight down today. It could. Do I think that is the right way to trade and just try to chase this downside after yesterday's move long term? No, I don't think that would build very good habits for you, and I think eventually you doing that is going to cause you to really lose pretty heavy. So when I say right way, what I mean by that is the right way mentally and the right setup and long-term, the right, sort of the statistical approach to, okay, when the market drops, if I can get a lower high retracement that turns into a new short, that's always the right trade to look for. So that's what I would look for today. All right, so we have CPI there. CPI is pushing us higher, which is actually great. This is exactly what I would prefer to see. I'd rather not see us go straight down here. Yeah, if you guys could, please press that like button. 2,200 people here. Let's get 1,000 likes today. So a good pop on CPI, which is a good sort of aligning with my thesis here. Again, not shorting into these major lows, which is good. Now, what we're going to look for is going to see where this starts to be weak, right? That's our game plan today. Where does this start to fail? Where do we start to see some rejections? That's going to be interesting to me. To me, I like the 686. I like the 690. CPI, year over year, 2.4 versus 2.5. January, 0.2 versus 0.3. So it looks like CPI basically in line, slightly lower. So that's positive. I mean, that's for now, you are reacting positive to that news. Not by much, though. This is not This is not much. This is not a big pop. Okay, so it's really not, it's actually nothing at all. It's not even above like the overnight lows or overnight highs. So yeah, a very weak bounce to start, I'd say. Let's see. Okay, so we're right into the ES 6868. This is going to be interesting. Look at where you're at. Let's see if that is the first area that starts to get weak. If we reclaim that, then we sort of look for the next spot. Here's your lows. Here's your lows. Look where you popped into. All right, this is going to be interesting to watch. This is going to be very interesting to watch. You can already see it starting to fade right there. Okay. Yeah, so this is exactly what I'm talking about today, right? If we get these pops, where do we start to spot failures? Something like this, right? Now, I wouldn't be out there trading CPI right now. That's a little bit crazy, but something like this is what we're going to look for in the intraday. Do we start to fail these previous lows? Do they turn into new highs? All right. Yeah, you got smoked right at that ES level. Look at that. Yeah, can't make that up. Cannot make that up. That is absolutely perfection. Wow. All right. So, game plan, starting to see it, right? Starting to build confidence. That's why we do this. We're starting to build confidence in our idea today. All right, let's go to the QQQ. So, looking at this QQQ chart, I think you should come back into this 610, 611. There is no retest here, right? So, again, this is exactly what we talk about all the time. What is the right thing to happen here in terms of the market, right? In terms of market structure, what's the correct move to happen here? The correct move to happen here on the QQQ is a push higher into 610, 611. It is to retest these breakdown points, right? Right here, lows, lows, highs, lows, lows, breakdown. What's the next move? It is a retest, right? And a retest would set up the new trade entry. So for me to short the Qs, I'm going to need to see this thing back at 610, 611. Pretty simply put. That's the spot. There's really no other spot. That's the correct move to look for. You went straight down here. Give me a retest. Give me a lower high here at the 610, 611, and let me turn this into a bearish structure and let me fade the lower high, all right? That's perfect. I mean, that could not be better. That's the correct thing to happen, and that's what we'll look for. If we go to the daily chart, however, I will say I think there's a very clear target here on the QQQ, and I'm going to go ahead and delete all my levels, and I'm going to see if anyone sees it. I think there's a very clean target here, and I'll just sort of put a level there just to make it easier. But I think there's a very clear target here on the QQQ, potentially, if there is more weakness on this market. And to me, it's like right around this 583 spot. This weekly high, this weekly low here, and this 200 SMA. That looks awfully interesting. That really does look like an interesting spot, and it really does look like a very possible spot for this QQQ to fade to. Right around that 585, 583. Yep. I just think that's possibly the right area, right? That the market may be looking for down here. So, the problem is you can't just look at this daily chart and say, oh, Desi said it's going to the daily 200. I'm short, right? You just can't do that. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, I wish it did. And maybe, if you're okay with drawdown, then maybe it does work that way. But there's a lot of spots still that could hold this up and spots that I would be careful of. So today, if we do fail this high right here, this is a September high, which is a really major spot. And you can actually see right now it is fading right off that level. This is the September high, 603, 602.87. If you reject this today, then I think this could really fuel that move. And wow, did the ES just... Okay, it's still sitting right at it. Okay. So I'm a little bit cautious here, right? We have this previous low, this previous rejection point at the September highs that we could fail today. If we fail this today, right, then we could see the 595, and breaking that, we could see the 589, and that's the October low. And if you break those, right, you're not very far away from this 583 August high and this daily 200 SMA. You're not that far away. I mean, you are one bad day away from that level, right? That is a 2.5% move. Let's call it 2.5, 2.7%. You're one really bad day away from hitting that level. Maybe two. So just be aware of that. This looks like a very potential target down here. And you have your August high and your 580 spot. Now, that only comes in if you reject, in my opinion, this September high at 602.87 and this December low at 600. If you start to fail this today, then I think you could see this start to fail. Okay? All right. We shall see. A lot of things to watch today. SPY 100 SMA is holding. This is another thing that you have to look at, right? You can't be short Qs when the SPY is holding the daily 100, right? That would be something to be paying attention to. Where's the SPY at? Is it above the 100? Right now, the answer to that is yes. So I'd be careful of being short into that spot, right? Right now, the S&P 500 is fading our 68 level very nicely. We can definitely keep an eye on that. So we're just watching our levels today, okay? SMH, outperformance still, and generally holding decently well this morning. You can see right here, this is not that bad of a pullback on the SMH. All you did was pull back to the previous day's lows. So is it that ugly on the SMH right now? It's not. You have Wednesday's lows. You pulled back into it. You went straight up. Guess what? You went straight down. It's easy as that. So where are you back at? You're back at Monday's lows, or actually you're back at Tuesday's lows, Wednesday's lows, and here we are again at this level. You have the daily 20 SMA below as well. So I would be very careful of getting overly bearish on the semiconductors because right now it's really not that bearish of a situation. Now where this does get bearish is if you see a failure right here. If you see this high turn into a lower high and a rejection, now that could be sort of the nail in the coffin. So that's what I would be looking at. If this high right here turns into rejections, which it already is this morning, and it does break, and that creates a break below that daily 20, then you will likely be looking for this 396, 398, and possibly even this 390. So it's all about what happens at this 412, 411 spot for me on the SMH. All right. Let's go to the IWM. IWM has a nice potential lower high rejection. You can see right here, Wednesday's lows. Does that turn into a failure? 262. So if you turn Wednesday's lows into highs here, downside it is, possibly back into the daily 50, possibly back into the 255. Wednesday's lows is very important here. Look at this pivot. Very clear spot. Gold rejected our channel high at the 51.46. Perfect rejection, may I add, right at that level. So that's still just stuck in a channel. And silver just really not interesting inside of this channel for me. IBIT also just doing nothing. Okay, and the last thing I'll say on the overall market is the Dow Jones broke back below the previous all-time highs. You can see right here. Previous all-time highs. Look at the failure of that level yesterday. Bam. Break, retest, smackdown. So the Dow Jones is now trading back under that major high. Back into these lows right here. So just know that the Dow did break that retest level. All right, let's jump into some equities. If you guys could, press that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And here we go into some equities. So Tesla. Tesla's going to play a lot of games at this 414.50. We're already looking at it, right? Look at these traps already being set at 414.50. And guess what? All right, guess what? If the market does find itself, right? And please don't count that out, right? We can't count out the market finding strength again because the market's been strong. So if the market does find itself again, guess what Tesla's just done? Tesla has just given us the retest that we were waiting for, which is the retest of the previous 2021 highs. So here's your retest, right? You have your break, you have your retest. Is this actually just a long opportunity? I won't be the first one to long this spot, I'll tell you that, because that's very questionable. But we want to keep that in mind. Is Tesla just going to hold back above these triple bottom lows and these highs? Is this a retest of 414.50? That could be something to look for. Now, what do you need before you look for that long? The word starts with an R. And I know a lot of you that pay attention to what I talk about already know what I'm going to say. And that is a reclaim. All right? You need a reclaim. You can't just long this level. What do you need to see? You need to see a break above Monday's lows. You need to see a break back above Monday's highs, back above Wednesday's lows. So you can't just long 414.50, but what you can long is a potential hold back above Wednesday's lows. That could be interesting, right? But if you fail back under this level today, then downside it is back towards the 408, 406. So an interesting spot there on Tesla today. Nvidia, not a bad hold, right? Look, what did we talk about on Nvidia? We want to pull back to that 186. Guess what we got? A pullback to the 186. I mean, this is not a bad pullback on Nvidia at all. You have major lows. You have this daily 20, daily 50. And actually, I'm sorry, daily 20, daily 100. And look where Nvidia is holding today. It's a pretty damn nice level at 186. So really no reason to panic over here on Nvidia, guys. I mean, this is a normal pullback. Yesterday did look ugly, but you're just back at Monday's. You can't even call that Monday's lows, but let's just call it Monday's lows. So really not that panic, not much panic here on Nvidia. Daily 20, daily 100 holding right now. It's interesting. So keep an eye on that. Where did AMD pull back to? AMD pulled back to the previous demand at 204, 206, right? Previous highs into lows. Look where you are again, 204, 206. Now, we had a great idea yesterday on AMD to not long into the daily 100, and you can see, once again, look at the absolute smackdowns that are coming in here on AMD. So the hard part about trading AMD right now is that you just know that up here is a very heavy spot. I mean, look at the three reactions here. That is telling you something, right? That is telling you that there are massive sellers right here just basically sitting on this stock. But where are you back into? You're back into an area that definitely could hold 204, 206, and maybe we can look to see if there's reclaims above Friday's highs and Wednesday's lows, or a push back into 212.50. So that's an interesting spot to watch, but you do need a reclaim. Now, I will say, you can see I have an alert here, right? If you break 204 on AMD, you are free falling. So make sure you know that as well. A break under this low is a free fall, probably to 200. Broadcom totally failed the look that I had, so really not that interesting. It needed to hold this 340. Look at the failure. It failed back under it. Now it's very clear. I just needed to get back above 340. So for me, that's a no trade until it gets back above there. MU. Okay, so I had a conversation. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save my conversation I had. I'm gonna gatekeep that conversation. But what I'm gonna tell you today is that this is very interesting. Yesterday or Wednesday, you squeezed, right? What is a retest like, right? I'll go quickly. What is a retest, right? The retest, like a bigger picture retest, is typically 3 days. 1, 2, 3. Right? Let's call this 3 days. A bigger picture retest on like a 4-hour chart is a breakout day, a pullback day, and then a continuation day. Right? That's what it is. It's 1 day of straight up, 1 day of down, and 1 day of straight back up. And this is what you need to remember, right? This day, everyone's happy. This day, everyone's sad, right? MU sucks. I'm not going to watch this. What a failure. And then the third day, guess what? 90% of people are actually even more upset. Why? Because they missed the move. But there's a select amount of people that are actually very happy on this day because they understood that the day prior was just a pullback, right? Rather than just losing their shit and chasing the longs on day one, taking a loss on day two, and then watching their contracts go up 300% on day three, right? So you need to stop being the person that's buying the highs on day one, losing on day two, and then watching their position go straight up on day three. What you need to be is the one that does nothing on day one, looks for the pullback on day two, and then prepares themselves for battle on day three. And so that's potentially what MU is doing today. You have a break. You have a retest. You have a retest of the breakout point. And look at what this is potentially setting up. So I would be extremely interested in MU today, because if this holds this previous high right here, and if this turns into a new support level, this is nothing but a pullback long potential. So I'm not saying that that's for sure going to happen, but I would absolutely be paying attention to what MU does today. Absolutely. WDC, pull back to 280, something to be watching. SNDK also, look at this. Look at this. Highs, 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 lows, lows, potential lows. If you break below 620, 614, you're going lower. XLP straight up yesterday. You should watch Walmart again today. Walmart retest of 132, 131. Fantastic look today. Fantastic look, to be honest. Hood retest of this Wednesday low, 74. Palantir retest of the Wednesday low, 133. Those are both spots to be watching. Microsoft did not fail the gap level, so I would still be careful of shorting Microsoft into that low. And the last one I have for you today is probably, I got a few more, but Dollar Tree is very interesting. This has been an XLP move that, man, look at this sexy thing. Previous highs, break, retest. Look at the long that's occurring right now. If the XLP in this sector stays strong, I would absolutely be watching Dollar Tree off the daily 20, daily 50 here for upside continuation. Structure, structure, structure. This is another one that I'd be looking around at. Meta, I wouldn't short into 640. Look for the retest of Wednesday's lows. Everything is retest of Wednesday's lows today. Lower highs before you short today. Lower highs before you short. Do not short into these lows. Lower highs. Pop and fade. Right here, look at Wednesday's lows. Look at all these Wednesday low retest potentials. Wednesday low retest Amazon. Wednesday low retest Meta. Wednesday low retest Palantir. Wednesday low retest Hood. All these are the same exact looks today. Or Wednesday reclaim Ripper, right? Or it's the Wednesday reclaim Ripper. So let's see. It's going to depend what the Nasdaq wants to do today. S&P 500 is failing our 68 level, so for now that keeps us lower. If you get above that, then possibly reclaims. Nasdaq futures, I would be very careful into this low right here. 25,025. That's a nice spot to be watching for a lower high. All right, guys, that's going to be it. So unfortunately, no trading for me today, but I will be live with the group trading technically. I'm going to keep that under wraps. I have an idea. I have some game plans here. I'm scheming for the new broker, but I'm going to keep that internal. So that's that. You guys want to see a sneak? Let's give you a sneak peek here. Little sneak peek. Just a little one. Just a little one. Just a little sneak peek. Hold on. Just a little sneak peek. Ooh. Look at this thing. Wow. 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 Look at that right there. Shout out Amped. Amped with the magic. Whoa. 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 Now that is a nice looking coffee bag right there. Coming soon. Very soon. All right, guys. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Long weekend. 3-day weekend. Monday, market is closed, so do not show up. Tuesday, I won't be here, so I'll see you guys in a few days, man. Take a little mid-month break. Nice little mid-month little... I would like a nice 3-day weekend every month, huh? I think that's great for our mindset. But, hey, you can create that. You can do that yourself. Say, hey, every month I'm going to take one 3-day weekend. I'm going to take one Monday off, right? Possibly good for the mindset. Yeah, MU, that's a little ugly there, huh? All right, guys. Appreciate all the support. I'll keep you updated on the Interactive Brokers BS that's going on. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace and love.